Brahman, which is my true nature. Can you please help me understand this, the nature bit? How does one meditate on this Vakya, as this is Mahavakya? Question mark.
It is a Mahavakya because we have 3 words here. What are they? Satyam, Jnanam and Anantam. So these 3 words, it's very clear, are not attributes of what? Attributeless, formless, nameless Brahman. Yet at the same time, Brahman is conveyed through words. Words alone convey Brahman. So, since Brahman is conveyed through words, we have to use some words. We can't use words which people don't understand. Pujya Swamiji had one word for that. Gagabuga, he would say. What did you understand? Brahman is Gagabuga. Nothing is understood, so I have to use, he would say, I have to use the words which everybody understands. And so, through a unique method of removing the limitations of how that word is understood, each of these words, Brahman is conveyed through implication. Implication means lakshyartha, not vachyartha. And lakshyartha means implied meaning. There is a direct meaning of the words, but implied meaning is also there. And the direct meaning is exactly how the word is, whatever it conveys is the direct meaning. But Brahman is not Shabda Vachyam. It is Shabda Lakshya. It is understood by implication, because who is this Brahman? As you pointed out in the question, who is this Brahman? You. You are this Brahman, and to tell about you to you without making you into an object, this is the only way. No other way is there. And if we examine each of these words, we see that they have a direct meaning and then they will have an implied meaning also, and we take the implied meaning. So Sat means Bhu, Sattayam, existence. That is the direct meaning. But then the direct meaning doesn't work because the meaning itself is vitiated by whatever we find in the entire Jagat. The whole Jagat is what? Full of existence. What kind of existence? Finite existence, dependent existence. This is what it is. Finite means the existence comes to an end of whatever thing I see that exists comes to an end. And of course, each thing is dependent on the other. We saw that in the Pariksha Lokan Bhashya, Itare Itara, what was that? Bijankuravat, Itare Itara, Utpattau. There is a mutual Anyonya Ashraya there. Ashritan Lokan, we saw that. So, Itare Itara means one another. Each one is the cause in relation to one thing and a result in relation to something completely different. And so therefore, the word Satyam or Sat needs a little scrubbing. Yes, you have to brush it. This is all, not really brush. Don't then ask what brush. No, it is figurative. You have to scrub the Sat. Scrubbing the Sat of the limitations and finitude, and so that is through the Lakshana. In fact, there is several kinds of Lakshanas. There is a whole book on Lakshana by, I forgot the name of the author, I think Vamana Hari or somebody like that. I may be wrong. I'll look it up and tell you. But there is a whole book of Lakshanas. What kind of Lakshana, how to use, where it is used, how in the everyday life we use it, what kind of Lakshana is used in the various different Shastras, sciences, all this is talked about. But for our purposes, there is something that you have to scrub away and something you retain. And this operation is called Bhagatyaga Lakshana. Something you give up the finitude and retain the abstract sense of existence. So then we have sheer pure existence, abstract noun in Sanskrit called bhave, bhava sadhana. And then so that is so the word sat now has been what has been taken away? The limitations associated with sat, the finitude associated with sat are taken away. Then the next word is what? Jnanam. Again the ending pratyaya, the pratyaya which is there at the end, what is that? Anam. This anam has many meanings. It can be knower, karta, anam, jnata, and then it can also be object of knowledge. That is also what? Jnanam. Knower, jnanam. Object of knowledge, known, jnanam. And pramana is also called jnanam. Will the real jnanam please stand up? Which one is jnanam? Which one is referred to here? So now when we look at the word jnanam, that is where that is why it makes it a Mahavakya. Neither the word Sat nor the word Ananda, but the word Jnanam makes it Mahavakya because it brings in consciousness. What am I? Sentient, conscious, awareful being. So, and what is this Ishvara? Sentient, conscious, awareful being. So that is where that is why it is a Mahavakya. Now getting back to this question, so if you say knower is Brahman, it is again finite because it leaves out pramana and it leaves out prameya. What is to be known, jnaya, and what is that, jnanam in the form of pramana is left out. Then if you say jnanam is actually object of knowledge, then you leave out jnata and pramana. Then if you say pramana is jnanam, then you leave out the object subject. So therefore that which is neither knower nor known, nor that which connects the knower to the known, which is the bridge of pramana, is Brahman. Oh, it's neither known? Yes. It's not the knower? No. It's not the object of knowledge? No. It's not the means of knowledge? No. Then what is it? Pray tell. You keep saying no, no, no. Neti, neti can go only so far. What is it? What is this jnanam? It is that which upholds the status of the knower, it upholds the status of the object, it upholds the status of the connection between the subject and the object revealed by pramana without being any one of them, without becoming any one of them. This is, so you see here also there is a little scrubbing done. Jnata, jnanam, jnayam have been scrubbed off, and it is that consciousness, the consciousness part is retained, not part, it is not full of parts, I am just talking like that. The consciousness aspect is retained, and then that consciousness which transcends knower known knowledge, and then yet it is upholding all of them. That is what makes it Mahavakya. And then finally we have what? The word Anantam. There interestingly, the word Anantam, first actually Adi Shankara says that they are all these words are mutually not dependent on one another. Then he changes that, because in the beginning he wants us to see the words as discrete words that will give us Brahma Jnanam. Then after that he says actually there is they have a niyamaka, they have the word Anantam is a niyamaka. It defines Brahman, not only defines Brahman, the other two words also define Brahman, but this word Ananta is used in the scrubbing action. Yes, the word Ananta is a scrubby because it removes the finitude from the word Sat, Satyam, and it removes the finitude from the word Jnanam. You remember that? Yeah. So this first he says there is no connection between the three. You have to see them separately. But then actually he says later on that the word Ananta has got a specific role to play. It is what helps in this Bhagatyaga Lakshana, and then so therefore Bhagatyaga Lakshana you retain something and then you bring in, you let go of something. That is what the idea is. And we have seen examples here also. What is the example for Bhagatyaga Lakshana? Gangayam Ghoshaha. So yeah, that could, yeah, that also, but in English, let us take it in English, something that everybody can, from everyday life, that we can understand. So Bhagatyaga Lakshana, one example we can give is to say that bring me some water. Bring me some water. But then the person slips some money into the hand of the person who is bringing the water. So the water is given up, the meaning of the word water is given up, and then something else is brought in. What is that? Some other addictive substance. That is what is like a code word, or the water mixed with some addictive substance. So the water is retained all right, but something else is brought in. So like that we have many so many examples like that in our everyday life to illustrate this. And so this becomes one's nature because of the word Jnanam. If you want to use Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma for contemplation, then just focus on the middle word. That is where the problem is with I, and that is where the Viparita Bhavana sits, and that is what has to be removed. And so Jnanam, and then see that I as the knower, thinker. See yourself as the thinker. So if I am the thinker, then every thought has two aspects. One is variable. What is variable? Object of thought. Now flower, now pen, now paper, now mic, now room, now wall, now ceiling, now floor. Object of thought varies, and each object of thought is kshanika. One after the other it keeps varying. But then there is the second component of the thought is what? The one who is the thinker. Thinker also changes. Thinker changes, manta changes into jnata, into karta, bhokta, pramata, all these changes are there, but the content of the thinker is invariable. So I let go of the variable and focus on the content of the thinker. I let go of the status of thinker, and if you go behind the concept of this thinker, what is there? There is something very important there and very beautiful there. And what is that? Consciousness. That consciousness upholds the thinker, is manifest as the thinker, and is also manifest as the variable thoughts. So between the variable and the invariable, that which broadcasts the variable itself invariable, and it's the invariable content of the thought, it's the invariable content of the thinker. So if you want to meditate on Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, this is the way to meditate, contemplate. This is the way to contemplate, is to understand oneself, repeatedly see oneself as neither the thought nor the thinker, but that which informs both. That invariable presence, because when you say presence, Then what do you bring? Satyam. That invariable presence which is endless, which is here, now, now, now. So where do you start? You start with Jnanam, bring in Satyam and Anantam. This is how to contemplate. और एक है क्या? Same person?
Yes.
Oh, okay, we'll do this one then. Yeah, we can wait for that.
So this is question to you. Do you not get tired of our stories, sorrows and questions? As an observer,
Who is asking who?
witness,
Yeah.
is it amusing?
What? Stories? What else?
That's it.
Stories, something, three things were there. Stories,
Stories,
Ah,
sorrows
ah.
and questions.
sorry, yeah, no, there is nothing
As
to
an
get tired.
observer,
Yeah,
witness, is it amusing?
everything is amusing. Yeah. That is Vedanta. Everything is amusing. So, do you not get tired? No, I don't get tired, you know. What is there to get tired? Yeah. That is also same as this one.
Is that same person's another?
We'll wait here. And if there are 10 questions,
One,
read
two,
one.
three questions.
Yeah, read one.
First
And then we'll go back to this one.
Okay, first, we are Sat Chit Ananda, then why does one get stuck in suffering samsara?
Because we don't know that. Simple. Because that knowledge may have been gained but has not been internalized, which is the subject matter of the 6th chapter. This internalization of this knowledge is the living this knowledge by warding off, keeping at bay, and then finally resolving habitual orientations. Orientations means jiva bhava, that is the habit. I am a jiva is the habit. And so that is resolved. When that is resolved, then even though I will not think of myself as I am a jiva, even though I am Satchidananda, I am still there, I am in jiva mode. So jiva mode comes when you wear the chappals, jiva mode comes. Yeah. Chappals of Vedanta mode. Yeah. So when you come to the class, when people come to the class. So we do our best to keep being in Satchidananda mode, Brahman mode. That is what we do. And that is hard to do if you don't know what is Brahman. So first we have to find out what is Brahman and then do it. Yeah, it's like, has it been a long time since Q&A? So many questions. Okay. Then?
So we'll go to this.
Yeah, go to that one.
I often hear words like religion, Vedas, Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, Vedic culture, Indian culture, etc. being used in conversations, sometimes interchangeably and sometimes distinctly. How should a student of Vedanta understand where and how Vedanta fits within this larger gamut of words and the meanings that they point to? Or put more simply, how does a student of Vedanta describe Vedanta to someone who is ignorant of it but has an idea about religion, Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma and other traditional Hindu rituals?
With the Sanatana Dharma, Hindu tradition, all these words, not just religion, but the specific words that you have used, they are have to do with the committed lifestyle which is in service of the vision, which is Vedanta, which has actually nothing to do with any one of them. Vedanta transcends all of them, and all of them, all that lifestyle, culture, etc., are for the sake of gaining, living, internalizing this vision. Because for every vision to gain, there must be some kind of a path. There must be some way in which it makes it easier to gain this knowledge. And so, what is prescribed is this life of Karma Yoga, which is called Sanatana Dharma, all this. So, Sanatana Dharma largely can include everything. But really speaking, if we look at Gaudapadacharya, etc., he just says this stands apart. This has nothing to do with anything. But at the same time, without all those things, this cannot come. Without worship, without bhakti, without shraddha, without karma yoga, without understanding how to live in this world responsibly, without causing disturbance, etc., Vedanta will not come. But if you say, is Vedanta a lifestyle? It is not. Is Vedanta a religion? It is not. We won't even. 6 darshanas means what? 6 kinds of philosophies. 6 darshanas are there. And then the Vedanta is one of them. We don't say that. Pujya Swamiji would refute that all the time. He would just say, this is not the case. 6 darshanas, it's not this is not the case at all. So because if Vedanta is made into one more way of looking at things, then it becomes one more thing which has to be contended, which has to be critiqued by some other philosophy. Vedanta starts when all other philosophies end. When we read the last Alata Shanti Prakarana of Gaudapadacharya, Mandukya, commentary on Mandukya, there he says the Vedantin, even this Purva Paksha, etc., we just have fun with them. They are just our sparring partners so that I have clarity, so that I can, when I see these doubters and objectionists, I have clarity so that I know how to respond to them. But we are not really at war with them. Gaudapadacharya says, you just get some popcorn, sit down and watch them. Yeah, and because what are they doing? They have great, they have great interest in fighting one another. Fighting means arguing with one another. There is a lot of vada between all these Vaisheshikas, Vainashikas, this one, that one, Bauddhas, various shades of Bauddhas, all these things. They will all, keep on fighting one another, arguing with one another, engaging with one another. What is the Vedantin doing? Eating popcorn, watching the show, like even a movie. And then Gaudapadacharya says, a time will come when they will themselves get exhausted and put their arms down, put their cudgels down. And we just let it be, that's all. Because really speaking, all these darshanas, they are a point of view. That's why Vedanta cannot be included in all of them, because Vedanta is a view. There is a difference between a view and a point of view. A point of view is valid. When the view is known, you can appreciate the point of view. But when the view is not understood, and when you mistake the point of view to be the view, one is constantly committed to something that one cannot uphold. All the time committed to something wrong, something erroneous. And so therefore, we have to be careful here. We cannot mistake Vedanta, which is the view, for all various points of view. In fact, everybody has some truth is there in all of them. Some truth is there. But it's a point of view. We cannot mistake it for the view. So the view we keep separate from everything. It informs everything and it explains everything, starting with what this I is. And then all the other points of view, including what? I am an idiot, yeah, that's a point of view, and that can be appreciated, but not to be confused for the view. So that's why Vedanta has no truck with religion, religious disparity, religious fights, or even internal religious fights like the philosophical fights like the darshanas, etc. But so it is kept apart. The Purva Pakshis we create and we knock them down for our clarity, not to engage with anybody or disparage anybody. We don't have the need to disparage anybody because we have nothing to prove. If there is something to prove, then we need to say, you are wrong, I am right. The need to disparage somebody comes only because there is something to prove. Vedanta has nothing to prove, it's a fact. That you are Brahman is a fact. Oh, I don't think it's a fact. Okay, don't worry. Go somewhere else, do something else. Yeah, we are confident that later on the same person who said that will come back here only. Everybody has to come back here. We know that. That's why it is not, we are not catering to anybody. We are not into the people pleasing business. We are not trying to hold on to anybody or to convert somebody to our view. Because how can I convert you to you? This is not possible. What are you? Satchidananda. And you come for 3-month course and I am going to convert you to Satchidananda. Not possible. Why? Because you are already that. So therefore there is nothing to prove and everybody has to come back. Everybody has to come back. Sometimes people come back after 3-4 janmas. Yeah, that's all. No problem. We can wait. Everybody can get a turn this way. Yeah.
Today, Swaminiji explained that Jnana is Vastu Tantra and Karma is Kartu Tantra. Karma depends or relies on Kartrutva. This is clearly understood by me. Jnanam, on the other hand, being dependent on Vastu, that is Astitva, correct?
Object. Vastu is simply object.
Is not yet clearly understood by me.
Yes.
Will you please explain again about Vastu Tantra?
Yeah. Vastu you have understood as Astitva, that's not Astitva. Vastu simply means object. It is true that the word Vastu is also used to as a synonym for Atma, Brahman. But here Vastu simply means object. Vastu Tantra means the knowledge is as good as the object is. If the object is round, then the knowledge of the object will also be what? Round. If the object is long shape, then knowledge will also say that this is the shape of it. And so the knowledge is dependent on object, karma is dependent on the performer of the karma. That's all it is, nothing else. We will go back to this one now. Done? All of it? Okay. This is also done.
In which scripture it is written that if one person undergoes learning of Vedanta, then that person's 7 generations are benefited? Family tree.
In the Mundakopanishad only it is hinted like that. Natasya kule abrahmavit bhavati. Abrahmavit means what? Opposite of Brahmavit. Brahmavit, Brahman knower, and then Abrahmavit, ignorant of Brahman. So the Kula is seen as either the family lineage or even the Guru's lineage. Both Gurukula and also one's own native, what is that called? Native family lineage. And of course also one more place where it is talked about is the all these kathas. You know, whenever there is a festival, one katha will be read. Like Satyanarayana Puja, then there will be one katha. This is all from the Puranas. And so in these stories, the story has to be understood, because the story has to be read and understood by the whole family members. All of them will be sitting, they will have done the puja, and yet lunch is not served because one long story will be read. And the moral of the story is always something about values, dharma, etc. And then in this story they will tell all these things. They will tell how 7 generations will benefit If one person is free, one person gets moksha, 7 generations above will benefit. Why will they benefit? Because they all wanted that. And they are so happy that you got that, that is itself the redemption, perhaps. And then 7 below will also benefit. Why? Even the unborn generations will benefit, because this is to do the jnana stuti. The jnana stuti is done because of the fact that there are many pratibandhas. It's not easy to gain this knowledge. It's not easy to be with this knowledge. It's not easy to have that steadiness. One day everything is going well, another day this is how it is. So it's not easy to have that steadiness of jignasa, steadiness of perseverance, and so therefore these kinds of very pithy statements and engaging statements are told. Engaging statements are told because the chances are, if one has gained moksha, then one would have also inspired their children, who will inspire their children's children, like that. That is the idea. Usually in the Puranas, Dharma Shastra, all are those are the places it will occur. Yeah.
Is the peace that arises during meditation the peace of the Atman, or is it something transit that should be disregarded? Transitory that should be disregarded.
See, all Ananda belongs to what? Brahman. All peace also belongs to what? Brahman alone. So Shantam, that is what it is. Shanta means peace. So just like we'll take it from the standpoint of Ananda. In Vishayananda, when I enjoy an object, and what is that Ananda? It is Brahmananda alone. But I don't recognize it, and I do a little transference. I do a little vikshepa, projection. I project my own nature-based self-happiness onto the object. That is what is happening. So every Ananda is really Brahmananda. Every peace is really Brahman alone. But when I mistake the experienced Ananda and I hook up on that experience, then it is a problem. So in meditation, peace has arrived, I am feeling peaceful, nothing wrong, because that is the whole idea. When you shut out the outside world, of course there will be peace, and with practice that will be there. But Gaudapadacharya warns us, Naswadayet rasam tatra. And if I start identifying with this peace and say, oh, what a lovely peace, then what happens? It goes to pieces. It is no longer peace. There is a bhanga. That bhanga happens because of the identification. So that is one possibility. Or that bhanga happens because there is a break from that. So instead of identifying with that peace and saying this is I and this is my peace, whatever it is, whether from a sense of I-ness or my-ness, that instead of having that abhimana, a greater vantage point is to be had when one does not necessarily enjoy that peace, but allow it to remain and then be with the observer. Observe the peace and see what happens afterwards. Okay, so that is a that is a way of going deeper. Otherwise we settle for little small pieces of this peace. That is the idea. So the peace is of course belonging to Atma alone, everything is Atma, but we can't say that this is my peace and this is an experiential peace, and then this peace comes only in meditation and no other time it is there. When I make all those assumptions, then I find that it is ephemeral. And one of those long ones, 2 part 1, another was there.
Question number 2 of it.
Yes.
Is Aksharam equal to Shunya equal to Bindu?
It is certainly not Shunya. And
In that there is a B now.
ah,
Shunya meaning non-existence
Yes.
requires one to exit to say it. So then
exit to what?
Shunya meaning non-existence.
Yes.
So it requires one to exist to say it.
Ah, yes, correct.
So then it isn't it Shunya? Could you elaborate or explain? Is
Yeah.
it Mithya, the existence?
Yes, there is no Shunya. There cannot be Shunya. Because when I say there is no Shunya, what is left? I am left. And even when I say there is Shunya, then who is left? I am left. Where is the sentient entity who is saying that the truth of the world is zero? In fact, we don't even have a word for zero. We say Pujya. Pujya means the most worshipful one. Why? Because the one that is left behind after everything is gone, the noticer, the observer of everything gone is the most worshipful Atma Brahman, Pujya. There is no Shunya. So Shunya is not there. Yeah. And I don't know what you mean by Bindu. I suppose that is from the Shakta worship it comes. Bindu Trikona Vasukona Dashara Yugma. How to draw Sri Chakra. You start with the Bindu. And that is that is the seat of Shiva Shakti. It's called Baindavasana. So Tadhita word. And so like this it comes from it comes from Sri Vidya Puja. So that is their way of saying existence. Yeah. Then
That's it. That
Okay.
question is over.
Yeah.
Then there is one more question.
sure.
Now, I am is the only time or place to be. Since all is now, does that mean all universes, yugas, exist at the same time and exist at the same time,
Yeah.
and it is an infinite or endless loop? Can it be said to be in now equal to moksha?
Let's look at the last part. Now is moksha, because now is timeless. Because when does now end? Is it ending now? No. What about now? No. Is now still there? Yes. What about 5 minutes later? Will now be there or not? It will still be there. And so now, when I know that this now is identical to aham, then it's moksha. Now and I are Mahavakya. Now is I am now. That is a Mahavakya, English Mahavakya. I am now. Because when I say I, it is what? Sat, correct? And then when I say I am, it is Sat plus Chit. Because when I say I am, what am I really saying? I know I am. So Jnanam has come, and now is what? Ananta Ananda. So if you want to meditate in English, Satchidananda, what do you do? I am now. I am now. See the meaning of it. That's all it is. That is moksha. Understanding that without a shadow of doubt is indeed moksha. Everything finished? Okay, here. 2 more. And then there is one bada one here. We'll see that as well.
How should I do Mananam and Nididhyasana? Could you guide me exactly on how to do them?
Mananam can be done in 2 ways. Right now this is Mananam. Yeah, removal of doubts is Mananam. Yeah, right now hopefully the doubts are getting removed. Hopefully, after every question is answered, the doubts don't become multiplied. That is the hope. So, this is mananam. This is one form of mananam, where with the help of guru or sahapathis, people who are studying with you, you ask the question. Of course, they should know, and then if they also answer, and then you have some doubts cleared, this is one part of mananam. And the second part of part B of mananam is something you do on your own. Maybe you are walking and maybe you are not understanding something, and you have already asked the question 3 times in 3 different satsangs, okay, and it has been answered, and the teacher has given the same answer, and still you are not understanding. And then you scratch your head, you are walking, you scratch your head some more, you are still walking, and then suddenly out of the blue, I think I understood, I think I got it. That is one more form of mananam, where there is this some kind of a pramathanam taking place, a kind of a churning taking place. And then what is that? The churning means you feel like the answer has come suddenly, but actually you've been thinking of it for the last 3 weeks, and that's why you have asked the question various times and not understood the answer. So the mananam is that. So what does mananam do? We have to understand. Mananam removes, technically speaking, 2 kinds of doubts. The first is called prameyagata samshaya, and the other one is pramanagata samshaya. 2 kinds of doubts. Pramanagata means centered on pramana, one form of doubt. The doubts are classified into 2. Pramanagata samshaya or prameyagata samshaya. What is pramanagata samshaya? Questions like, why Vedanta should be the only pramana? Why everybody is so fanatic? Why we have to come sit and study when the ashram next door is promising very good food and instant moksha? Why should I not go there? And what will I get? What if I don't get anything out of studying? And what is this Shabda Pramana? How can mere words, which are what? Finite in nature, and which are what is that called? Paurusheya, which are made by human beings, which are flawed because they are Paurusheya. How can they deliver the Apaurusheya Atma or Brahman as me? How can they deliver? The words themselves are flawed, the grammar is flawed, and then how can they deliver this Brahman, which is flawless Brahman? Flawed language, how can it deliver flawless Brahman? Finite language, how can it deliver infinite Brahman? Finite mind, how can it get the knowledge of infinite Brahman? These are all examples of pramanagata samshaya. These are not prompts for the next satsang, what to ask. Okay, so these are just examples. These are all pramanagata samshaya, samshaya centered on pramana. Then prameya. Prameya means that which is to be known. What is to be known? Ishvara as myself. That is what is to be known. So there also, how can I be Ishvara? That is a prameyagata samshaya. And how come Ishvara is all knowledge? How come? And how come if 8 billion people, let us say, in the universe are having a headache at the same time, whatever everybody's time zone, why doesn't Ishvara, the creator of them all, get the biggest headache in the whole world? Prameyagata samshaya. And if you are dying to know the answer, that's because Ishvara doesn't have a head. Okay? It's all knowledge without a head. That's why there is no head, no headache. So this is very simple. So like this, pramanagata samshaya and prameyagata samshaya are removed by mananam. And one more way to do mananam is to study manana granthas, such as what? Advaita Makaranda. One example of manana grantha, Advaita Makaranda, and some other things. And so manana granthas, and then self-questioning and what is that? Shruti Anukula Yukti, using logic in keeping with what one has studied in the Shruti, and all that is important. That is Manana. Then Nididhyasana, we have been seeing blow by blow, step by step. And what is Nididhyasana? Recalling the words of the Shastra. Which words? The words I know. Because if I recall the words I don't know, nothing will happen. Recalling the words of the Shastra which I already know in order to help me banish habit-formed thinking. Thinking which is habitual. Thinking which has been existing for a long time, even before the knowledge was gained. I thought of myself as a donkey. And then after the knowledge is gained, I still think of myself secretly. I won't tell anybody else. I am still a donkey. Sometimes I feel like a donkey. So, this is, this is why we need Nididhyasana, because the truth is, whether before the knowledge or after the knowledge, I was never a donkey. Okay, even figuratively speaking, I was not a donkey. I am not an idiot. I am not a donkey. I am not finite. I am not small. I am not just the body, mind, sense complex. I am not just my emotions. I am not just my fears. All these to see, we need those beautiful pearls and gems of the Mahavakya to just regurgitate and bring them to mind repeatedly to ward off what? To ward off this tuchha bhavana, jiva bhava, tuchha bhava, alpa bhava. That alpatvam has to go. That alpatvam being notional and being habitual is not going. And so that alpatvam, that laghavam has to go. That smallness has to go. And that's why Nididhyasana is done repeatedly. You recall the words of the Shastra that you know. Yeah, finish that if you want to. And then you can take this.
How should Duryodhana's father act regarding the adharma committed by his son? Should a father appease a son who is being aggressive?
No, there is no need to appease. If one is talking of from the standpoint of dharma, then the appeasement will never work for a dictator. You saw what happened to Hitler, we have examples. The whole of Europe was trying to appease Hitler. Let him conquer a few places, he will leave us alone. He just needs a little something to do, poor thing, he just needs a toy. And then what? A country is his toy. He just wants world domination. Let us give him a few things. That will never work. Appeasing a dictator, appeasing a tyrant and a sociopath, which Duryodhana was, psychopath, will not work. Absolutely will not work. Why? They will want more and more and more. And then they will swaha the appeaser also. That is what they will do. And so, Dhritarashtra, the fact that he is blind was literal, of course, in the Mahabharata, but also what? Figurative. Figurative. Blinded by delusional love for his child, for all his children actually. Blinded by delusional love, moha-based love. And some parents have that. Whatever you do is okay. No problem at all. Whatever you do is okay. And that is not okay. If the parent is on the side of dharma, then it may mean you just break off with this child until the child sees the light and comes back. And we have many. In fact, Bollywood stories are like that. All the Bollywood earlier stories were, I don't know why. Bollywood is obsessed with twins. There would be twins, okay? And one of them is a police officer and the other one is a gangster, not just a petty thief, gangster, okay? Father has died off, there is only mother there. And then, which film was that? I don't even know. Huh? Ram Lakhan, okay, I don't even know. I may be even making up the plot, I don't know. So, There are many, see, like that, there are many. So this is just the quintessential thing of all of them. All of the plots are like that, and this one, the gangster has a weakness. What is the weakness? Mother. But yet, he is not able to give up his ways. And what should the mother do? The mother should say, doesn't matter, you have a weakness for me, I also have a weakness for you. Let us go together, enjoy the ill-gotten gains, whatever we have. No, she should take a stand. She should take a stand. Especially if there is a weakness, she should take a stand. But here in case of Duryodhana, our Bollywood films are better. This Duryodhana had no love for Dhritarashtra. He just did aposhana, eka poshana he would do. Sip him in one go, he was capable of that. He would order him around. Nobody could deal with that. We cannot go with what is wrong. And it is very difficult. It's a dharma sankata. That's what Arjuna had. Arjuna's dharma sankata was that. Even though Duryodhana was not very lovable, he still somehow loved him. And said, Mamakaha, my people, what way, he's my person. And so, that is what blinded Arjuna also, but it was temporary because he had great grace operating over time. Krishna comes and removes that delusion. No, the 3 are there. 3 more are there, yeah. Chop, chop, quick, quick. Speedy satsang.
Namaste. When you have success and achieve many things because you put efforts, time, resources, etc., when you tend to believe that it is because of you, and it is not easy to trust Ishvara. It is a very modern point of view, very well.
It's a very what point of view?
It is not easy to trust Ishvara.
Yeah.
It is a very modern point of view.
Modern point, yeah.
Very well entrenched. If I am not Karta, I am as good as nothing. How to trust life?
Yeah, this is a very good question because everybody feels this way, whether they acknowledge it or not. So everybody feels this way. This is like a universal question. What is that? Dropping the kartritva buddhi. And so we have to do manana on that 2nd chapter verse of the Bhagavad Gita, karmani eva adhikarahate ma phaleshu kadachana. You are the producer, or you are the producer of action, no doubt, but you are not responsible for the result of action. This we see in our own lives. Because all the hard work I did, I should already be promoted. But who is promoted? All those good for nothing co-workers are rising. And even though I am there all the time, and I am the best worker, I am doing everything that I should, I am being overpassed, I am being bypassed. This itself shows. If I controlled all the variables, then I would be in charge of the whole company. But I am not. Why? Ishvara. Because we have to bring in Ishvara. We have to bring in karma, karma phala, Ishvara, everything. Ishvara as karma and karma phala. This is not fatalistic thinking. This is a shock absorber. That my own karma is standing in the way. And who is this? What is this my own karma? Free will utilized in previous lives, utilized, wrongly utilized. Now I am seeing the karma phala. This is the good explanation because it leaves Ishvara out of it. Why? Because Ishvara is just a karma phala data. Your own karma recycles, puts a gift wrap on it and gives it back to you. This is what Ishvara does. And so therefore, if I understand this, my life goes a lot more smoother than if I don't accept or don't understand this. Whether I accept this or not, I am seeing the results. I am seeing that I can control the known variables, but I cannot control the hidden or the unknown variables. There are many hidden variables which I cannot control. And so, therefore, at the last minute something can happen and then my success could be denied to me. It's nothing wrong in saying I have worked hard for this, but then in the Indian context, we always give the credit to Ishvara. Even if you say, I don't believe, oh, where is this Ishvara, I don't know, still give the credit. He will take, don't worry. Yeah, you give the credit. So if you go to somebody's house, what a lovely house, you tell them in India, what will they say? God's grace, Bhagavan's grace. Then you say, oh, this is so nice, you did this very well. Guru's grace, God's grace, Guru's grace, Bhagavan's grace. This is what we say. And this is a way, even though it may just be lip service, it is a way of at least moving the lips in the right direction. Once the lips move, the mind will follow. That is the hope. So really speaking, you don't control the results of action. So if there is success, then it is because of Ishvara, because of your own karma phala, which is, what was the reason for that karma phala to fructify now? Ishvara. So we protect ourselves from mishap, misery and all this when we give the kartrutvam to Ishvara. The doership is Ishvara, belongs to Ishvara. So I borrow the doership and then do this. And that's what is told to Arjuna, Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin in the 11th chapter. You please be an instrument. Don't be the doer, be an instrument. Even in the Bible there is a term like that, be an instrument.
I'm not clearly understanding the difference between Bahiranga sadhana and Antaranga sadhana. I understood that moderation in eating, sleep, movement is Antaranga sadhana, and that inner efforts using buddhi, not swept away by manaha, is Bahiranga sadhana, such as samadarshana, etc. May you please explain why each of this sadhana is called Anantara or Bahira? To me, if it sounds opposite, that is inner effort using buddhi sounds Anantara, whereas moderation in eating, sleep, etc. sounds Bahira.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. You have a point, because yuktahara, vihara, it's all sounding what? Bahiranga sadhana. Where is the food? Outside, you know. It's not cooking in the stomach, it is outside, and I am deciding what to eat, etc. However, because it comes in under the 6th chapter, under the purview of the 6th chapter, which is wholly devoted to what? Bahiranga sadhana or Antaranga sadhana? Antaranga sadhana. These are what? Angas to the Antaranga sadhana. So the eating is for what? For to become a better meditator. And the appropriateness in eating, walking, etc., you can call them Bahiranga sadhanas if they are discussed by themselves. However, because they occur in this particular chapter, they are part of they become part of the Antaranga sadhana. Just like the mindset. How should the mindset of the meditator be is also Antaranga sadhana, and in addition to that, how should the yogi approach the food? What do they decide to eat? How much do they decide to eat? Also by default comes under Antaranga sadhana. That is the idea. Karma yoga will be Bahiranga sadhana because it is your engagement with the world. That is one example of Bahiranga sadhana, because it is an engagement with the world. And eating, drinking here is not for the sake of the world. Who is it for? Yourself. So it still continues to be an engagement with yourself. So I suppose it would be what? Antaranga sadhana only. Okay, all right. These three we will have to leave for the next time. Those all I think we have addressed, yes? Tear it up so that it doesn't get mixed up. One announcement is there. We were thinking what is the good time for the beginning Sanskrit, and I suggested 6:30 to 7:30. But many people said they want to do meditation, what about meditation, etc. So I talked to Swamiji, and Swamiji has suggested that we will keep the beginning Sanskrit at its appointed time. What is the appointed time? 2:30. So let that continue even during this time from the 17th to the 21st. The Sanskrit will not be changed. You can please make a note of that. Okay. So that is the announcement. And then today was actually supposed to be rehearsal. Yeah, Sunday. Yeah, oops. Anyway, so that's it. That's the time you make. You work together to the script. What was that?
No, we're working on the script already, but we were planning on doing a rehearsal.
Okay. Tomorrow you do the rehearsal. Yeah. All right. And those three we will answer. Some other time we will answer. We will see. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Mevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.